We are live. What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to another episode of the Aggressively Average Angler podcast. We got a special guest that it just so happens, met at an airport because we were trapped during, we'll talk about it. There was crazy stuff going on around ICAST time, but we actually knew this guy from back in the day with Monster Bass. So it was a pretty wild little reunion, and we talked a little bit, and we were like, hey, you want to get on the show? So we've got the Informative Fisherman here. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Surviving, man. Designing baits, still doing spokes work. I think a lot of people know me from the YouTube originator, but like it's weird. Everybody's like, "Where's your YouTube stuff?" I kind of like went away from YouTube.
Yeah.
6-7 years ago and started doing spokes work and designing, and so I do a little bit of everything now. I still screw around on social media, still post on YouTube from time to time, but I'm literally everywhere. Wherever you don't expect me to be, you'll see me randomly showing up. So this is kind of one of those things.
Like the Orlando airport is where we found you. So
yeah, exactly. No, I was there working for Pure Fishing this time and GSM Outdoors. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun, man. I get to play with all the new stuff that nobody gets to touch yet and give creative input, and they change it and send it back to me. It's like a fisherman's dream. Like, oh man, I want a lure that could do this, this, and that. Oh yeah, okay. And it's got a look like this, and then it just shows up,
Yeah.
Custom printed.
There we go. 9 colors. Yeah, I mean, we saw you flipping around in the Berkeley tank. That was pretty cool. So normally there's a bass tank, but Berkeley brought their own tank this year, which did they do that last year too?
No, we actually we had a custom tank. So even before Pure Fishing acquired Savage Gear, we had a custom tank that I always. So I'm the live presenter for Pure Fishing. For those who don't know, any live presentations where I got to talk to different pros, I'm always the guy because I'm a fishing nerd. It's just how I am. I know every little detail inside and out of every lure and color. So no, man, our pool, check this out. You guys will like this. We almost flooded ICAST last year.
Oh.
So we filled it up before day one, and in the middle of the night, there was water going through like 6 different booths. Oh. And so they had to clean it up, patch our pool. And so the Pure Fishing tank or Pure Fishing tank, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
That was a big upgrade. They said they made you a new perch, Nick, but I'm like so high up there presenting the whole time. It's not as personal. So we may get another custom one done next year, but it's pretty sick being able to cast fish all day.
It was wild because it was like our last day there at ICAST, and we went to the Pure Fishing booth, which for us, honestly, we never do. We never feel like we have time for. So we got a chance to do that. We talked to Fishhook Terry, who was over there, hung out for a little bit. We grabbed some brewskis, and then we did like a whole bunch of video, and you were flipping up there, and it is way up. It was wild how high up there you were. I was like, is he okay? Like, are we good?
Dude, I can't be drinking on the job, and they make one way to make sure I'm not drinking on the job.
Going up the ladder on there?
I die. Yeah, it's literally, you just, bam.
Yeah. Pretty terrifying. But definitely it was cool to see you flip around the baits, and then we caught back up at the airport. So got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Some good topics, I think. And before we get into it, I just want to real quick remind everybody, all the members. I think we had a new member before we even started. So Frag Out Fishing, welcome to the membership, my friend. And we are doing a members only live September 10th. So Tuesday, September 10th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, be there. We're going to do some giving away of things. So if you like things that are free that show up at your doorstep, be there, maybe join. All right.
Dude, I need to hook up your members with a couple of things too. I got like prototypes that nobody can get their hands on. I'll send you guys a couple to hook your members up for.
Deal. All right. So this just in, members, there's going to be additional giveaway here from the Informative Fisherman. So if you want some unreleased fancy cool stuff, show up maybe.
All right. Weird. That's my middle name. That's super weird. Yeah, fancy cool.
fancy cool unreleased.
Is unreleased. Yep. All right. He was crazy creative, dude. Like
yeah, you got to be creative, man. All right, let's do a Q of the D. We'll get into it, Paul. What's our Q of the D today?
All right. On the heels of the Olympics, I actually think we asked ourselves this one, so I'm gonna see if our answers match up. But I'd be curious if the United States was like, "Yo,
You're in.
We had somebody in the Olympics. They can't make it.
Yep.
But you get to pick the sport. So you get to pick your event. But like you got to represent the USA to the best of your ability.
Yep.
What Olympic sport are you going to select?
Oh man, is judo still in the Olympics?
God,
I did MMA for 13 years. I'm not going to say I'm really good at judo, but I know it's something that boxing. I did box for a long time too. I'd still probably get beat down by another heavyweight, but I'll do boxing. I'll go with boxing. Yeah,
but
you'd be in there, man, and you would know. You would be pretty good. I don't know if anybody else heard of Ray Gun in the breakdance.
I was like, you could get 1 point in breakdancing if you could just learn one move.
You could beat Ray Gun.
6'6" and gangly, dude. Breakdancing is not my thing.
I don't know, man. It wasn't
did
her
you
thing
watch
either.
her?
She was there.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad, dude. I was struggling even to get.
That was my favorite.
No, my favorite was the snake. Why are you doing that?
So static, dude.
And you know, the whole time in her head, she's like, "This is sick. I'm killing it."
Dude, she was exuding, just dripping confidence. I was just like, yo, she is feeling this.
What got me is that her kit, like what she wore,
was
she custom ordered that specific, like wanted that and nothing else. She's like, I got a great idea. Here's what I'll do. That's what she chose.
Nailed it.
10 out of 10, man. 10 out of 10.
Savage.
Brutal.
Wow.
Brutal.
That's a good self-own. All right, Jeff, what about you?
If I had to do a sport, you know what was cool and I'd be terrible at, but it looked cool, was the kayaking. The kayaking was
the racing.
Yeah.
Yes,
they had to drop in and they had to like go around and like slalom around these poles and stuff.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I seen the speed racing one.
They had them both.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had to drop, man. Dang it, missed it.
Oh, they had one that was like, it was like rapids. It was a tight channel and they had to like circle around, go up, go down. They had to flip. They had to spin. I mean, I would drown and die, but it would be really
Jeff,
fun.
That actually sounds like a lot of work. I'm just gonna say
it would be a lot of work. I'd be terrible at it, but if I had to do one thing, I'm gonna do that.
Did their kayaks have those little torpedo motors?
Yeah.
I just put my Newport 300 on there and just rip.
The fishing edition lazy kayaks.
I got my forward-facing sonar. It's not going to do me much service there, but you know.
No, it's supposed to win whatever you're involved in.
How far down that trail, Paul, do you think I can make on my native Titan X?
Oh, on that? Well, okay. After having seen you go through a very turgid and turbulent stretch of water on an insanely, so Jeff and I.
Oh, on the Hobie.
Jeff is in a almost 15-foot giant kayak with actually a very slow pedal system. And we're safe. Watching water just absolutely gush out of this dam. I mean, it's in full release, and we're like, send it. And so Jeff gets in. We're in like the only little protected pocket. He gets in. He pulls out. The second he noses out, and he's pumping like crazy to get there.
I almost got
almost nowhere, spinning, smashing into the bank. Horror show.
You guys,
horror show.
Hobie Pro Anglers, very stable.
We need to pull that footage actually, and we need to make like a kayak safety video. Be like, here's what not to
do. Don't do this.
Not this.
Highly not recommended.
I will say 0.0 is how far you will get in the
Dude, rapids are no joke, man. Like people really don't get it. I saved a lady last year that got caught in a river and like first time kayaking, and dude's like, check this out. Like there's this little lake, right? Yeah. And there's a river system and there's like 5 different little lakes. I'm not going to say where it is because the locals who see me on here will be trying to figure out where the spot is. But anyhow, they kicked up the flows and some lady had never kayaked. And it was 52 degrees, the water where it was flowing.
Oh,
she
God.
Her kayak immediately, got stuck in some timber. Okay. And she got her arms wrapped around this timber and all sorts of people started screaming out to us. And we couldn't see her. So we go flying around. And we find her, right? And then all the emergency services, everyone starts showing up. And they're pointing, screaming. And there's like a long 5 zone in front of me. So I'm like, this is my time. This is go time, baby. Yeah. So I trimmed her up, dude, and just right over this shallow, blowing mud. And my buddy, he wraps his arms around her. And I go, oh, shoot, dude, as soon as I let go, as soon as I come off the throttle, we're going to go through these trees. Yeah. So I come through, like I let off the throttle, I jump up there, I grab onto her. I still have this deep gouge in my wrist. from her fingernails ripping through. I got stabbed in the back by the tree, and they stuck it in the news, right? So I'm messaging the news people because they can see my wrapped boat, and I don't want nobody to know about this location.
Yeah, you're like, no, bro,
don't show.
I asked for the story to be recalled.
I don't want any notoriety.
I got like 5 DMs immediately saying, "Hey, what are you doing at such and such place?" And I was like, "Oh, just testing a modification I made on the motor." So yes, I lied to you guys if you watch this. So
oh my God,
steal it.
It's okay. No one cares about us, so you don't need to worry about it.
That is a wild tale, though. I
feel
like
at least this podcast is near the other side of the country, so we should be safe.
Yeah, well, you got 3 hours for somebody to find out.
Yeah, anybody in chat from the Delta area? Anybody from California? Let us know.
Anyways, that's why. You know, it's funny. We were
bro. This is the
just
best.
buy a boat. Oh God, yes, that's the comment. That's a good reason to just buy a boat.
Because she was tumbling in the rapids.
Bro, dude, so
I've seen boats tumble, but yeah.
She lost her kayak with her wallet, her cell phone over a dam. The dam was only a little over a quarter mile down the way from where she was stuck. Yeah, it would have been a bad day for her. The dam's only about 30 foot high, but it would have hurt.
Any feet high would be bad. Oh my God. I have had that happen. I was canoeing on like a family trip. So I wasn't even drinking. I wasn't even old enough to drink. And my brother he was in the front. He tips us over and we're like, oh, look at that.
Naturally.
And then I turn around in the river. We're just floating down. And I just get right into a huge log jam, just like a whole big jumble of sticks. And I get sucked under. And my feet are stuck. And I'm looking up into through the water, through all the sticks. I could see the sunshine. And it's above where I can reach even. Ooh. And I had like a true moment of like, oh,
this is it.
Game over, man. Game over, dude. I only get one life on this one. And I did get out, but it was super scary. Yeah, and I remember being like,
spoiler alert.
And I barely got the canoe out because the water was pushing so hard on it, and it was pushed up against like a branch. We were like 2 miles from the put. I'm like, I gotta swim down this river all the way back.
Dude, how old were you?
Like 17, 16.
Oh my gosh, probably that next Yoo-hoo never tasted so good.
Oh yeah, but what right? Mountain Dew straight to the veins, man. Never had a
Code Red.
Never had a saltier Code Red in my life.
That next corn dog was.
That's right. I was freaked out, 100%. But I made it, and then I told my friends like, I was scared. You were scared. I wasn't scared.
Yeah,
I was fine.
I was
blah, 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 blah.
Super chill, but
I accepted it, dude. I knew it was up. Mm-hmm.
Dang.
That stick didn't break loose, and my brother didn't save me. Yeah, man, it was freaky.
Wow.
Let's get into the show meat. So you talked about kind of like how you got started and how people generally know you. You kind of have like the claim to fame of being like one of the, if not the original first YouTuber to like sort of like actually make it.
To actually make it, you're correct. So I'm going to give you guys a little brief history real quick. There was 2 people before me. There was Rippin' Lips, Obedy Williams, and there was Roger the Bass Guide. Roger was a little person. I don't know where he went. I was definitely the first one to hit 100,000 subs. And kind of after that, when I got into my spokes work. So it was really early on, like crazy early on. 2007 is when I started. And then Gene started. And then I actually had another channel before that I was making fishing videos on. And then some guy said, super informative video. Another dude said he should call himself Informative Fisherman. I said, okay, thanks, I will. And that channel was like a year before the 2007. So like beginning of 2006 is actually when I started making videos. Totally by random, low profile bait casting reel here in Northern California. I met a guy whose father is the ambassador for Sri Lanka. That was in San Francisco. And I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. And this was like pre-popular social media. He didn't know how to use these reels. And we were talking to each other through fishing forums, actually on a website where you write a question, write back. Well, I went to write something, made no sense, made a video. YouTube was a thing that just came out. Made this video, how to use the reel, yada, yada. 3 to 4 months later, he's like, dude, have you seen how many views are on that video? So I go check, it was like 60-something thousand, forgot my password, had to figure all that crap out. People were like, dude, make some more videos. I did, randomly here or there. A couple people reached out. This is before YouTube ads, Google ads. And they're like, hey, can I stick an ad in front of your video for like $50? And I'm like, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I was working for Everdream, which was one of Elon Musk's first companies that he bought. His two cousins, Pete and Lyndon Rive, actually started Everdream, which Dell purchased. So Dell, the people that used to make the home computers, that was Everdream originally that Elon owned and funded. So I met Elon before Elon was even popular. And then like one thing led to another. They're like, dude, just quit the job. You're going to get fired. You're running to so many fishing tournaments and leaving to fish. And dude, all about the same time, my YouTube started to explode. I told my wife and my parents, I'm like, I think I could do this full time. So I started, lost sponsors. I was like, oh, hell no. Got sponsors back, went and signed up to be a CERT officer in prison, which is like prison SWAT. And then luckily my channel exploded even more and I never had to go to the academy. So I went like boom, 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 boom everywhere, man. But
dang.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, and what people don't realize is like my job at Everdream was explaining technical things that the IT people were doing to the sales team. So I've always had a way of like breaking things down in layman's terms.
You have people skills.
Yeah, people skills.
You're good at working with people.
Damn it, I got people skills. And I moved out when I was 17 years old because I lived next to East Oakland, and I used to make beats and sell them with my friends that we've grown up rapping, doing all that stuff. So yeah, urban kid, urban fishing kid, and I was making beats and selling them. So editing videos was remarkably similar to editing music. So I just had a random skill set that worked out.
Wow.
My dad loved videography, so kind of everything meshed together.
You were like lined up.
Yeah, like the prototype for a YouTube.
He is the one.
The one.
That's hilarious.
Dude, it was so tough back then, guys. Like when you see and you hear about companies working with YouTubers now and stuff, dude, I would call literally like 30, 40 companies even to get a chance. Like until the first person offered to pay me, dude, it was like pro staff. I would get discounts. They would send me some gear. And because there was no YouTube fishing community. It was unheard of. And they're like, oh, my grandkids do YouTube. I'll just have them make a video for us.
They're like, what is this going to do for me exactly?
Yeah.
And they didn't understand.
Yeah, Jeff and Paul, like I literally did not have a bass sponsor until the third year full-time into my career. It was trout, fishing line, weights, and a boat company. Yeah. Getting the bass people to like commit to paying a full-time social media person, unheard of, man.
But they had that was like sort of the heyday for pros though, right? So like at the time, like if you were going to invest, it was pro. Like you got a pro, they were on an actual pro staff, right?
100% pro and TV.
We got to fund a boat and we got to pay them and get them.
But they would drop a ton of money on that person, and then you come in and you're like, I make content. They're like, what exactly is content?
Good for you, bud.
Yeah,
I made you a video. Cool, man.
And you guys are exactly right, because I was told, oh, we only spend on our pros. And then how I actually broke down that door, and this is honestly what some social media people should really consider, is I was friends with a lot of pros because I was a competitive bass fisherman. So I started featuring local pros that they actually paid on my program. And then they realized, hey, this is cross-platforming, this is growing. So for all the pros who actually watch this right here, I am sorry for ever encouraging other people to do YouTube and screw you guys out of your money.
YouTube stuff, man. We've talked about, like, so I would ask you this too, like these days, would you even recommend that someone start a YouTube channel?
Yes and no. So you have to consider, are you doing it because you enjoy it, or are you doing it to try to make a career? If you are doing it to try to make a career, you should not at all costs even attempt it. You have a better odd at becoming a pro angler, becoming a pro basketball player, something else. Believe it or not, when you see about people doing YouTube full time, it is very difficult now. The market is so difficult. They change the algorithm frequently. If you love to make videos and share with the world, that's what you have to have as a foundation either way. So if you love it, by all means. If you're going to do it just to have fun, talk to some other people, share your own experiences, by all means. If you want to do it as a career path, look elsewhere.
That is good advice. I mean, people have asked us before, like, hey, should I start one? And it's the same thing. I say that about anything. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and like the number one thing I could tell anybody who wants to start a business is start a business that you're passionate about, because you're going to eat, sleep, breathe, and crap that out for the next rest of your life until you go bankrupt or sell it at some point, right? So you gotta love that thing, because it's going to be.
Listen, guys, Jeff is exactly right on this. Okay. This hat right here, Sticks Fishing, stixfishing.com, is my rod company. I have not taken $1 from this company in 6 years. And I do the best bang for the buck, the best rods built for the price. I wanted to get as much out there to the fishing community as I possibly could. Now, if I didn't have any paying sponsors, sure, I would probably try to pay myself from the rod company. But I knew to build this brand and to get it out there to, anglers like myself that wanted good gear that was more affordable, that was my passion. Like, I love this industry. Dude, there's no way I could have been around for 17 freaking years full time if I was bullshitting people. Oh, is this PG? My bad.
Doesn't matter.
Not anymore.
Cool.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It was.
It's all good.
15 minutes in, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Good now after the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're past the safety net. We're good.
Yeah, dead serious. It's like, you have to be sincere. Like, people will call you out. They will catch you on crap. And like, I'm one of those people that I randomly make up words where I'm talking and it's funny. I'll watch some other YouTuber that I never knew about their content, and then I recognize a weird word and I'm like, that dude watches my stuff.
Yeah.
I trademarked that word, dude. You can't use that.
Dude, I made that crap up completely one night and just happened to stick with it,
I would agree with that. And I think the one, Jeff and I kind of talk about this a lot because we've had a couple of videos do well recently. And what happens when you do well, on at least in social media, is that it starts really good. Everything's very good. And then there's like a line where you're going past like informed people who are like sort of in your sphere, and you go outside of that. And it's like the floodgates are open and now everyone's seeing it.
Yeah.
And those people don't have they don't know a lot about, they're not in your sort of circle of information. And so they're seeing, for example, a $1,200 kayak / skiff, right? And I'm saying it's cool, and everyone who is in the circle is like, oh yeah, that's a good deal. That, as far as this quality goes, makes a lot of sense. Anyone outside that bubble is like, what a piece of junk! Like, never put this in front of me again, you idiot! Like, and they will just break you down. They will just go on a rampage, and the comments will be a tirade, just raging on you for anything that you could possibly imagine. And to your point, if you don't enjoy, like, one, a little bit of snark, and two, if those comments are affecting you, you definitely shouldn't be on social media. And if you don't just enjoy making the videos and kind of chuckling about how good or bad they do, you might as well just move on, because even when you do well, it's a curse. You're like, dang, now I got to answer the same comment literally 700 or 800 times this week.
And gives you a chance to work on your wit, though. Because now you got to start coming up with smart comebacks.
You got to be snappy. You better be snappy.
I'm not gonna answer the exact same question 1,000 times the exact same way. So that's not a boat. Just buy a boat. That's a paddle board. That should be only $300. Like, dude, I got 150 of those each.
Let me tell you how bad it is. Okay, I was born with a central tremor, so my hands shake and my eyes blink out of sequence. People are like, "Dude, what was that? Did you just wink at me?" And so always someone comments like, "Have another drink, bro." And so we got, like, a couple of years ago, my buddy goes, why don't you just give him like a traumatizing story of what happened to you, but just make it up? And I'm like, oh yeah. So we did a petting zoo mistake. What was it? The other one, like, I got stabbed climbing over a fence, like in a bag.
Kicked by a mule.
That's like that's way too specific to even be like a lie. I'd have to believe that. Like, oh,
dude, people some people come in the comments that already know, and they're like, they like try to beat me to it. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I literally don't care. I'm totally fine, dude.
I love an ongoing story like that, though. That's great. I change the story every time.
I just want to see somebody make it up.
Yeah.
Just like when they tell my story, if they regurgitate one of the BS stories that were told.
Yes, right. No, that happened to Nick too. Yeah, he was climbing a petting zoo fence and got whacked by a mule. I don't even
Mule kicked him in the face.
Back, right?
Eyes go crossed. Falls down a well. Eyes uncrossed.
Eyes uncrossed. Craziest thing.
Craziest thing. Cured off that wild turkey. All right.
So what are last YouTube question? So what are your, if you're gonna make a video, and now that you don't have to make a video like on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever, what videos do you enjoy making versus which ones do you kind of dread? You're like, oh God, I have to do this
again.
You know, like which one's which?
Sometimes I dread like current popularity topics.
Like, you know, the like sonar that faces the same direction as you.
Yeah, exactly. The forward facing. So that is one, because I feel like, do you guys want to get into this one right now?
Let's jump into it. You know, it's a hot topic. Everybody wants to know. How do we feel about it?
I'll bring it up. So here's what happened. There's an opinion that's kind of crossed over MLF, Bass, Professional Fishing League. Like, what is it? The MPFL just banned forward-facing sonar.
Yep.
Bassmaster made modifications to where you can have 55 of total inches of graphs and only one forward-facing sonar on the trolling motor. Yeah. I don't know where MLF is on it at the moment. So I'm going to just give you guys a general outline. For those of you at home, it's forward-facing sonar is like a love-hate thing. And I will tell you right now, my sponsored boat, the one you see me doing all those skipping videos and punching videos and stuff out of, I don't run forward-facing sonar on it. I really don't. I have a private lake that I live on with a 1980 modified custom Ranger that does have forward-facing sonar. I use it to help manage my lake. And I will tell you what, forward-facing sonar does not put the fish in your boat. It does not. Literally half the locations I've been to, and a lot of my friends have it on their boats. Sometimes it plays, sometimes it doesn't. If you can get 1 out of 50 fish to strike on there, that's good. That's good odds. Honestly, if the biggest problem that I see is it's not relatable. It's very expensive, okay, to put it on your boats.
100%.
And most people don't want to buy a $50,000, $60,000 boat and then $6,000 worth of units. It becomes unrealistic. Not all of us drive Lamborghinis around to Starbucks and Burger King every day, okay? This is just, it's not a realistic thing. But the reality is where it becomes a problem and where it does dominate tournaments and where people are like, I don't want to watch this anymore, is where you do not have a 5-fish limit. Every fish counts. Like, I have tons of friends that fish MLF, and like, man, I'm watching my friends do good, and it's hard for me to stay focused. Yeah. Like, what is wrong? I used to watch every Bassmaster. Growing up, I can tell you every single old school Bassmaster Elite Series guys and what they were good at. Now, if I asked any of you guys, like, the top MLF guys right now, what are they good at? What do they specialize at? And then you're going to be like, well, forward-facing sonar. And the reality is the majority of the fish live offshore, always, all right? So what happens is if you're able to target those fish easier, you're fishing for the majority. So it's easier to catch larger numbers to where if every fish over 2 pounds counts, why would you bother going up shallow, fishing a frog, throwing a square bill, throwing a chatterbait through some grass? Why would you bother? So the giants, shallow water fisherman, Fred Rambanis, great dude, great shallow water big fish specialist, Ishman Rowe, Dean Rojas, Bobby Lane still adapted really well. But you look at these shallow water specialists, Takahiro Mori, you know, crankbait specialists. I can go on and on and on. Greg Hackney, you know, your flipper, a jig guy. John Cox, okay? John Cox has survived. John Cox prefers to fish less than 3 foot of water. He's like me. You know, I'm very related. John's very relatable to my style of fishing. What happens is you eliminate the guys that are fishing for 5 big bites. Because if you're weighing 60 pounds, nobody's going to catch 5 fish that weighs 60 pounds, okay? Yeah. Like Butch Brown was doing like those 53-pound bags on Huddleston's where the fish had never even seen a big squid bait ever. Yeah, yeah. So a phenomenal 5-fish bag in good fishing locations, like 25 pounds in a really good fishing location that has giants. Yeah. You guys live in Michigan, 25-pound bag up there is astronomical.
Unheard of.
Beast.
Yeah, exactly. But so if we were fishing in Michigan, okay, and it was every fish over 2 pounds counts versus the top 5, where do you want to be in? Well, I want to be in every fish counts because I'm going to catch way more. Okay, well, Nick's really good at fishing shallow under these boat docks, but he can only weigh 5. Well, who wins? The guy who can catch multiple. So I think people's opinions of forward-facing sonar on MLF are crossing over into Bassmasters. Bassmasters is still 5 fish. It's not every fish counts.
Yep.
Okay, so for them tightening down on the regulations, I don't think that was necessary. What happened is MLF took a field of very popular names, okay, and they spread it out to where now it's like MLF is still the best, but you don't see those shallow water specialists shining. You don't see guys out there like you did see a frog one. Jordan Lee was cracking them on the frog, but that was that shallow water fishery. All right. Yeah. I think MLF realistically needs to go back to the 5 biggest fish, just like everybody else. Forward facing sonar. When the problem is when you select 90% of the locations in these tournaments that favor forward facing sonar, like literally before forward facing sonar, we were using side imaging in 2D. Like I would watch my drop shot, my shaky head, my vertical jigging spoon. I would watch it on my 2D graph, guys. It's no different. It is really no different. At least with forward facing sonar, you can kind of like see what the fish are doing and stuff like that. Yeah. But these tournaments need to pick locations that favor shallow water angling, that favor square bill stuff, that favor flipping docks.
Didn't they say they were going to do that? Didn't they say they were going to change the locations too and be like, hey, you know, was it Bass that said that? Were they like, hey, we're gonna change the field a little bit. We're gonna allow you to keep units, but we're also gonna switch it up so that just like you said, you know, we're gonna put you in places where it's not really helping you anyways, and you're gonna have to figure this out. We're gonna provide a locale that caters to the other side of fishing. Because I've noticed, because we're in super clear water most of the times, forward facing sonar is a huge help. Because a lot of times you don't even know that you're scaring fish when you're fishing, and so those fish also get really limited because they have to hide a little bit better. So it's it's a little bit of a different game. Like, and I noticed that those truly giant bags, they're coming on like water up here, like clear water, more high pressure, certainly smallies. That's where it's really helping you out. And that's kind of where it's at its best, in my opinion. It's one of the where it's at its best versus you get into the Mississippi River or something and, you know, it's chocolate milk every day. It can help you for sure. But like a lot of times you just got to huck a frog, you know, or whatever. You got to toss a giant jig and you got to be right on the fish. So, you know, and so that made what Bass did made more sense to me. I don't know if I like the inch limit. That was probably where they maybe went the wrong
There's a lot of screens that got to get downsized.
Yeah, but like
it's not the size of the boat so much, Paul. It's the motion in the ocean.
Yes,
it's not the size of the screen.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you know, that made sense.
5-inch screen. That's
those are like you've seen the really big ones, right? Those
would be hilarious if someone was just watching like a football game and like flipping into some brush piles and used all 55 inches just for that.
That would be.
I'm not looking at give him the right finger.
So and I really spell this out to reiterate my point. So on the California Delta, the way to catch big fish, you have to punch, you have to frog, you have to skip into cover, you got to throw a double buzz bait early in the morning. Okay. The reality is that's how every tournament's won out here, day in, day out. All right. If we did MLF style on here, it would be throwing a square bill to some rocks because you'll catch 62 pounders. So literally it eliminates every technique to catch the 5 biggest fish. And I guarantee you that goes all over the country. I'm sure you guys know from learning the bass fish and stuff over the years, there's techniques you do to catch bigger fish.
Oh yeah. No
question. So if it's a numbers game and I've got 5 fish, okay, let's say I've got 4 to 5 pounders in there, and one of them's 2.5 pounds. Okay, I need to cull that fish. All tournaments throughout bass fishing history is when we're picking up a big spinner bait, we're throwing a double buzz bait, we're flipping a big jig, we're throwing a swim bait. We're looking to cull. We're looking for that hero moment. That is gone with multiple fish. There is no hero moment. So when you take the heroes of the sport and you remove the possibility of the hero moment, it ruins it for me.
You do take the KVD chucking a double D, like what at the end was at the end of last season, and he got into a school and was just like, ah!
But Kevin, dude, he was doing that before forward facing sonar.
No, I guess my point was you take that moment away, and that was I don't even like tournament fishing
Yeah,
and I watched that like 3 times. I was like, Michigan boy just ripping him out on the way. He's riding into the sunset right now.
Yes, he is.
And we're just watching him just absolutely swing away with a big double D. So
I
fished
with Kevin when I was 17. When I was 17 years old, my neighbors are actually his neighbors are my aunt and uncle, the Gleasons. I won't go into details in case anybody knows them. But my cousins went to school with Kevin. And I went back there. My cousins were like, yeah, we're friends with Kevin. And I'm like, Kevin who? They're like, Kevin Van Dam. When I was 17, I'm like, the bass angler Kevin Van Dam? And we went there when he just had the pond built before he ever had a dock. And his Jackson and Nicholas were young little kids bouncing the basketball around. And I was some shaved head California kid with a silver chain. I haven't changed much, but like I'm still kind of that guy. But yeah, man, I went there and fished with him. And the funny part is, ever since I got famous in the industry, I see him at shows and stuff. I never brought that back up. I don't know what it is, if it's a pride thing or anything. I've never tried to utilize people I knew in the industry to come up. Like the people I idolized was like Doug Hanna, the bass professor. I idolized people that took a scientific approach to it. Like tournament angling isn't necessarily my favorite thing. I will take a new technique and I'll go out for a month straight just dialing in that technique.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's our favorite thing to do.
That's fun. It's fun.
I agree.
To see what you can accomplish. Yeah, when I used to talk to Ned Cade, when Ned rigging first got popular, when Ned did it and he modified the beetle spin and turned it into a Ned rig. Sorry, I'm a fishing nerd historian, so if you guys want some back history on
you're in the right place.
Yes.
Yeah. We love all the history you can.
Yeah, I was talking to Ned about it, and then I went back to Table Rock Lake, and Andrew Upshaw was dialing me in on how they fish the Ned on Table Rock, and then I brought it back out here to Clear Lake, and I was showing Matt and Tim from Tactical Bass, and I turned them on to Ned rigging, and just it's weird, man. Like I fished a Ned rig probably 180 days that one winter, straight, and I had 4 rods rigged up with different style Ned rigs, different heads of weights, and just modifying, dialing it in. I get obsessed with like techniques and breaking them down. So my problem with my videos is sometimes I'm just super technical and I'll just go way overboard for the novice, and they're like, dude, what the hell was that?
Slow down. Start over.
I want to share everything.
Yeah.
We get like that too. I have to edit like all of our videos down because we'll go down a rabbit hole and I'm like, nobody cares. I care. You care. Nobody else cares.
You gotta meet in the middle. So yeah, 100%. We try to meet in the middle where it's like it appeases people at all ranges of skill set.
Dude, if you want that, you just do like you guys want the easy way up on YouTube. Senko's bank fishing frog there. Broke in, fishing in a spot where it's no fishing, cops called. There you go.
Yeah, you got to call the cops on yourself.
Karen.
That's the most important thing. And make sure you're wearing something insane.
Kicked out of HOA.
Yeah, HOA kicked me out of a private pond. Yeah, I mean
that's another thing that Jeff and I have talked about many times because we're
never doing that.
We sort of when we started this, we were seeing like the peak of that. And it's a
bit, but yeah, it's
still it's not what it was. But those are hard to watch for us, and people like sort of kind of wonder, like, you don't have any extremely viral videos. I'm like, I don't do anything that is deserving of being extremely viral. Like, I'm not gonna parachute into my fishing spot today. I'm not. Yeah, I know. What are you thinking? Come on, man. Like we've talked about many times. Like, I have zero desire. That's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to know, like, what's your favorite video, and then what's like your least favorite video? Because we have some videos that I'm like, man, I don't want to make this. It's so far outside of my zone. It's a good video, and like I want it to exist. I don't want to be the one to film it. Like I have some videos like that, and I have other videos where all I want to do on the Saturday is make that video. Like that's what I'm getting up to make that one.
So I'll tell you what, my least favorite videos is when I have to go to Florida and film bass fishing videos. Let me explain why. I bass fish every day. I bass fish over 280 days a year. And I can fish every single one of them I want to. I live on private water, California deltas in the front yard. When I go to Florida, I want to fish for exotic fish, man. I want tarpon, I want snook, I want redfish, I want sharks, all that stuff we don't have here.
Yes.
That is why. So, so if I have to dread it, it's one of those. Or basic style videos. Like doing something.
One you've made 1,000 times.
Yeah,
the best fishing knot.
Yeah. I released the first million view fishing video, and it was how to tie the common bass fishing knots. And
I rest my case.
Exactly. So there's these viral shortcuts, and I'll tell you what, guys. Every one of these fishing companies now is highly aware. If you use clickbait crap, if you buy views, if you're just doing random viral crap and you bring no quality of information to the video, they know. They really know. They're keeping track of everything now. And I've taught a lot of these companies what to look out for now too. So I can name 10 YouTube channels off the top of my head that got close to 1 million subscribers that a company will never pay $10 to.
Burn the bridges. Name them right now.
You have to have substance. I don't want to start any fights, dude. People hate losing.
That's our next viral thing is like the Informative Fisherman.
People hate losing.
Everybody.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude, I've started some fights just completely at random, just because like I hate when people steal from other people. Like when the Googans copied sticks, like it pissed me off, man. But then I'm like, you know what? Best form of flattery, it's when someone copies you. And it just drove me crazy. And then they wouldn't admit it. Like, and it's just like, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. And then they went.
Which part did they steal? Sorry, showing me.
Originally, they took the 6 rods, all designed for the different concepts. Favorite did it too. I gave Roland Martin a set of rods in Mexico, and then he brought it to Winston, the owner of Favorite. I'll tell you guys straight up. And then they tried to copy. Gary Dobbins tried to copy at one time. But the best part is, guys, I'm a small guy. I'm a small company. People on the internet were the ones, like, no attorneys, couldn't sue nobody, couldn't afford to sue nobody. It was the people online that got my back, and quality people, like the people that watch you guys, will get your back, and vice versa. You would get their back, and in a pinch, you would help them if you could. And those were the people that called out these companies for doing that crap. And
awesome.
I work for Berkeley, and they do it too. Well, I work for Pure Fishing, not directly Berkeley, but when people are like, the flag, the Nessie's a copy of the flag, look at it. I mean,
what are you talking about? It's perfectly original.
Fine copy, Nessie flag.
Yeah. And the reality is, I work for Pure Fishing. So if someone's Pure Fishing watching this, like, y'all know what you did. I wasn't directly on that team, but I get it. And when people are like, the Chapo, they copied the Whopper Plopper from River to Sea. Well, River to Sea copied Tyrant Crusader, which most people don't know. Tyrant never secured a design patent. So when Larry Dahlberg made the bass version, Larry Dahlberg invented an amazing lure. No, he didn't. He modified an amazing lure, but it all goes back. It's all relative. So everybody who makes a swim bait copied the originator who made a swim bait.
And that's, and we've talked about that on our show quite a bit. And, I think what gets me, the only time I really kind of get upset is when
it's a direct
when it's very egregious, and when it's somebody who didn't need to copy. Like when I see a huge company that's like, you didn't need to copy, just sell what you're making, man. Like you didn't need to copy that one. And it's a guy like a private business owner, a small designer, or somebody who's really boutique, and
exactly.
And then you make this bait, and you truly did something unique, even if it's not. If there is some innovation there, only to get the rug ripped out of you by somebody who can instantly distribute and get in front of you. I'm like, bruh, that is why patent law is supposed to exist, right? And so when I see stuff like that happening, and then what gets me too is, like, if I was going to copy a bait and I was going to change it somehow, frankly, as long as I made it different enough, I would promote the other product. So like a good example to me is like, if I make a very cheap version of the Mag Draft, what I would do is I would say, I took what the Mag Draft did. I changed the hookup. I changed the hooks. I'm using different materials.
That should be
and I'm making it a huge factory. So I'm getting it to you for cheaper. It's 7 versus 30. But like this other one exists. It's awesome too. I have no problem saying that at all. And I would just make it in a different size. I make a 4-inch. They got the 9-inch. Go get the 9-inch if you want the upsize. And like,
a different value proposition is what we'd be looking for. Like the Z-Man Gobius is another one. So you got the Megabass Dark Sleeper, you got the Z-Man Gobius. The value prop is this one. The Z-Man's indestructible. Like,
and most people don't know the Savage Gear Structure Gill is by far the best out of all those clones. Like, they have no idea.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I learned to now.
The Structure Gill is so far superior to both of those. Just look at it.
I'm literally looking it up.
Look at it and swim it. Like, it's incredible. And I even talked to the team and I said, dude, and we need to make it look hyper realistic. I need it to be more different, you know, but the jig swimmers, you know, that was the thing. You know, and they come in more different. They come in a larger variety of sizes too.
The pumpkin seed is lit.
Yes, it's fire. And the way it swims is incredible. But most people don't know because it's like there's so much negative around things like that. And I get it. So listen, guys, for the last thing I said, like, I'm not hating on the Googans. I think them bringing young eyes into the sport was one of the most needed things there is. Do I not do my platform the way they do? Yeah, we do things differently, but that's great. It's America. It's a free country, dude. But I'm just saying, when something strikes close to home and you start taking money from smaller companies, it's just something you shouldn't do. I mean, you should just understand it. I'm not hating on the guys. I'm not hating on Gary Dobbins. I'm not hating on Favorite. I get it. You're trying to feed your family just like me, but like etiquette's important.
I would agree.
Etiquette 100%, and also just keep in mind that actually, like, it damages people. It could destroy a company. Literally, just like Paul said, rip the rug out from under you. And that reminds me too that you brought up Savage Gear. We got to talk. I got to talk after the show. We were trying to connect with somebody there because we definitely want to get more Savage Gear on the channel.
I want that baby little swim bait that I was seeing.
Dude, that swim bait was insane. You got the new the top water walking bait that they did that has the neutral balance. These are
right now for stripers.
Oh God. Yes. See, that's the thing that kills me. I love the Midwest because we have northern pike, we have all the little panfish, and
we ain't got them.
I love all of it. But you make one trip down to Florida, to your point, and you fish for 4 hours with a worm, or not a worm, but a shad or whatever. And you just throw it on an open hook and cast it out, and then you
catch
can catch
20 species of fish. Yeah,
like, all ceviche edible. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we even doing here? What's the point? I don't understand. Like, oh my God. Yeah,
that's makes me jealous.
Other people get stripers. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Striper season. I'm like, good for you. Striper season.
Dude,
cool.
Dang it. About 7-8 years ago, when I caught my first tarpon on a swim bait, it was about 160 pounder. And dude, that changed a lot. Like, That's literally
rearranging my DNA just hearing about it.
I've caught probably close to 5,000 to 10,000 giant largemouth on big swim baits. I'll tell you what, when you hook a Buick doing 60 miles an hour via a tarpon, that is eye-opening, dude. And when that thing's doing cartwheels and you're like looking up in the distance, like, oh my gosh. And dude, they are so fast, even when your line's going under the water, like you can see your line going straight and turning, and then the fish jumps like 20 yards over there, and then your line goes like, dude, it is like, dude, it makes you flinch and like your arms tighten up. And the crazy part, you can't let them sit still at all. I had no idea watching from the sidelines. Like a tarpon, if he's pulling, if his face is facing the current, they won't stop. You can't win. Like, you literally have to make them jump or force their head under or turn the other way. Like, if they're facing into the current, dude, they like their Street Fighter charge bar starts going back up.
Health regen,
dude. And you don't
stamina boost.
You get the regen, man. The mana's going up. Dude, and the crazy part is, like, you don't know this until you're out with guys the first time. They always forget to mention this, and I didn't mention it to my buddies last year.
It's a rite of passage.
Force it under, force it over, force his head up, force it. Oh, dude, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sweating trying to reel in a salmon.
Yeah, I love salmon fishing too, man.
Oh my God, that
once
is wild.
once every 2 or 3 years, we try to get on salmon or steelhead if we can.
Oh,
it's few and far between for us. I wish we were closer, but we got some good spots. We just have
to get king salmon run over here too, for sure. Steelhead too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the BSE, the best skipper ever. Which let's talk about the bait. Right? Tell me a little. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could be worse. No, it couldn't. I love it.
I love it. Like the BFE.
What would you have named it? What would you have named it?
Dude, so check this out. Like Skip Bug, Skip Beetle, or something like that. So I did technically name this. Okay, let me clarify.
You guys, I made a new bait. Best
so when they sent me the final prototype of all the changes that I modified, I drew that bait up from 100% my design. I said, dude, guys, I think we might have the best skipper ever. And apparently they took that as Nick's name, and it is the best skipper ever. Because they sent it out to the whole team, and then they sent me a package that says best skipper ever. I was like, what is this?
Because I invented the
I just say BSE every time, or Bessie or something like
the Bessie. I kind of like Bessie. You should change it to Bessie.
This bait, you guys, no joke. I'm known for skipping and swim baits, okay, and frogging. That's like my specialty, okay. Like me, Gerald Swindle, and Andy Morgan, we're going to battle for who's the best skipper in the country. They're going to battle a YouTuber.
I'm guaranteed to lose.
So, well, pro bass I lived for 17 years too. So that counts. Yeah.
Fair.
But this bait, you guys, I designed this thing specifically for skipping a freaking mile. Like, it is the easiest lure to skip. Now, my whole premise when I was designing this was it to be like a jig. You skip it into the target and you let it fall. Got a little action on the fall. Dude, accidental action through the roof. Like, dead serious. This is probably the most natural looking bait on the fall without adding weight. Dead serious. You put a 5.0 EWG, you throw it in there, it backslides down like this while the legs are kicking, like at the same time, just kicking a ton. If you watch the video on that, the how-to video I made on it, the product video, it's freaking ridiculous, dude.
I was going to point people to that.
We saw that. You showed us at the airport, and we were like, that's nuts.
Dude,
that is the bait
so half my strikes come that way, and the other half is like when there's a lot of thick grass, I just slowly reel it under the surface, and it does this while the legs are going back like that.
Nice.
The whole dude, I'm catching them as a wake bait on this thing. Never would I have thought that I would smoke them like that. Dude, it's ridiculous. And the crazy part is, even when you see a wake and you stop, it literally backslides right to them with the action in their face. Yeah, I'm beating the crap out of them. And maybe because it's just like, it's their first look. If you go look at my Instagram stories right now, you'll see I'm hammering them.
Yeah.
Right. And dude, like, and the crazy part is like, okay, if Big Bite's listening to this, shut this part off or fast forward for the next 5 minutes. Okay. Because it's going to cost you guys a little money. It's going to cost you money. So if you look at where it's hooked, even when if you catch it and you tear it down and the eye tears through the head, I carry a torch lighter. I will take the BSE off, torch lighter the cut, squeeze it back together, and the bait hardly ever comes off the hook because it's so fat where the bend of the hook comes through, you never lose it. Like, dude, I reused a bag of 8 for over 90 fish now.
Oh my God.
Like, dude, I think the bag's like $6 or $7.
You're doing Z-Man.
Big Bite.
I was about to say, that's Z-Man stats right there. Holy crap.
That's
crazy. Dude, and it's not TPE, it's not plastomere. That's
what's wild about it. Yeah.
Now it's high, it's almost 100% plastine, so there's no filler. A lot of soft plastics have junky filler in them just to get the cost down. And I thought Big Bite was going to honestly charge more for this, but it's still soft for how thick it is. And the bait's 3/8 of an ounce just with the hook. No weight. Dude, you can bomb this thing so freaking far. Dude, it's ridiculous. There's no other bait that even fishes remotely close to this. Yeah. It's like a brand new category. If you imagine like a soft plastic jig that you can reel in and get bit, or you can just let it fall, get bit, or just slowly drag it and get bit. Like, you really can't work this damn thing wrong.
And that
sounds like my kind of bait.
Yeah, 100%. Last season, we were getting into gravity baits, and so we were screwing around with the Yamatanuki. Kind of became our favorite out of the 5 or 6 or 7 that we tried. And we ended up flipping it a lot more at first, and then we were like, this thing skips like stupid good, and we we started just rolling it through different spots.
Well, we had a day on the pontoons, so we went up to this pontoon and we're just like, and like,
Jeff frozen?
Oh, am I? Did I freeze? Am I okay?
You froze.
Oh,
you're back.
no.
We did. We had a banger day skipping it, and then I think. But the killer with those is, one, they're expensive, and two, they're not at all durable. And we've got some strategies, right? I got a whole strategy where first you do a 180 at the front, then you do the 90, and then you do another 180, and then when that's gone, you cut the whole thing, downsize your hook, start over again, and then depending on if it's the Yamatanuki or something else, you could flip it over and then work on the tail and go backwards. But those bags are like $10-$12, and you're getting like 5, and it's like these are $1.20 a piece. And if you're not super smart about it, you don't get lucky. You're looking at a one and done.
So it was crazy. Right when I first started designing the BSC, I got my hands on the Yamatanuki, and they sent me those over because I also work for Yamamoto too. And I started skipping the Yamatanuki, and I was like, whoa, like good bait. So that actually helped inspire, since we're going back to that other conversation, helped inspire the BSC thickness. And I also co-designed the Tough Toad for Savage Gear. And the way I designed the bottom of the Tough Toad was to get the best skipping frog there is. And that is TPE, by the way, plastic.
Yeah.
So when I was doing that, that was an inspiration, but I definitely didn't like how easy the Yamatanuki tore. The bait has no action, but for some reason, it catches fish.
It gets slapped.
They love it.
When Brett Ayler told me, dude, oh no, it's got an action. I'm like,
the tail does this.
I took it to the swimming. No, it doesn't. I took it. It's like a bowling pin falling straight to the bottom. Just dude, and they hammer it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's the Yamamoto formula.
It could be. All I know is Jeff and I tested 5 or 6 at once, maybe 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah, it was a bunch of them.
G-Crack, Fish Arrow, Depths, all those JDM ones, and then missile baits.
And missile baits, the Bamba.
Yeah.
And Spro. And it wasn't close. I'll tell you this. It's the only one we've gone back and bought a second bag of.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
6 more bags. Maybe.
That's the only one.
The BSC is going to ruin it. The BSC.
I've got it in my cart.
Dude, quote me on this. You guys are welcome to quote me on this. Like anything you want, you go try that bait. It is, dude, way better than I thought it was ever going to be. Like, guys, I would love to take credit for how perfect it swims. I would love to tell you I designed that thing to have a backslide. So just go ahead and repeat. Like, I know Nick designed that backslide.
I think that's how he drew it up. It even says in the design.
Yeah, like, dude, I wrote in my notes, backslide. You should.
He was doing experiments. It was his lab coat on.
Dude, I've been helping design baits for over 9 years now for Savage Gear, and this is the first time I work with Big Bite. I honestly have to tell you, their team is incredible. They listened to everything I said, did every detail, so attentive, dude. We developed that bait in like 7 months, and they completed it. Like,
is that fast or slow? Because I wanted to ask you. Okay, all right.
So, for example, I've been working on this new glide bait. I can't really give any details for Savage Gear. I'm 2.25 years in on it.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's going to be one of the best glide baits people have ever touched. But, yeah, it's a long time. And I've got, on the prototypes, I have over 70 catches over 4 pounds. And I can't show any of those. So when people are like, where's your YouTube content? Literally, I have NDAs on baits I'm developing, guys. Like, I can't show you. The bait doesn't even look the same.
Yeah.
So is that different, though, for hard baits versus soft baits? Because I would assume it's a lot easier to make soft bait molds than it is to make a hard bait mold.
100%. 100%. Yeah, but you also have to get it perfect before you can make the hard bait mold for the soft plastic. Yeah. Because, and how do you design it and get it perfect without cutting the hard mold out first, too? So there's still a big gamble there. So when you see like an incredible soft plastic, it's like, damn, that's special. They most likely spent a lot of money modifying the molds, a lot.
Got it.
But
then those are typically made overseas.
No, Big Bite's here.
Like all, but I guess like the molds and everything, they get made in the U.S.
All U.S. Yeah.
Holy crap.
US. Yeah, GSM's doing everything here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
So what how do you guys choose colors? Because
so this is typically based on region of where the techniques would exist. So like for example, that you have your basics, you have like your brim colors, your craw colors, your green pumpkin, of course, a steeple, your sometimes tilapia, always white, black and blue. And then you have like nuance things to where, like, let's say if it's a swim bait, you may have to have it look like a threadfin shad. You may have to have it look like a blueback herring. Depending, is that, let's say it's a 9-inch swim bait, okay? Well, you're not going to make it look like a threadfin shad because those don't really get that.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
But a blueback herring, a rainbow trout, this is where things come into play. And this is what like a lot of people don't realize is when these companies are picking these colors, they're going off regional cells for areas. To where when you guys are like, oh man, they need to make that in a black crappie. Well, if no other people use black crappie looking lures in your area, you need to find a custom painter. And there's tons of those on Instagram too. So take advantage of that because believe it or not, that works remarkably well. Get custom painted.
Yeah, some of our buddy does the freaking amazing, like honestly unbelievable job. And I always wondered if it was, so let's say you make maybe a bad example. I'll go with it.
Yeah, go with it.
You make a drop shot bait.
Okay.
Right. A lot of times there'll be like 10 colors.
Yeah.
Like more than average, probably. How much of that is just market research and like these are the colors that sell versus I'm the pro, I'm telling you in St. Lawrence, you got to have these 5 colors. And that's what that's the version that we're going to do. Because there's a huge difference between everyone's got a Goby drop shot. None of them are the same. Z-Man's Goby doesn't look anything like 13 Fishing's Goby.
That's right.
Even bluegill colors are all
bluegill is insane. Bluegill is like code for perch for a lot of companies.
Yes, right. Getting the colors into certain plastic formulations makes different colors. So like when the people, like any plastic pourers on here will know, depending on the formulation of your plastic, you may be able to like 3 different formulations of plastic with the exact same color dye and it will not look the same.
Got it.
Yeah.
Like that's what's really critical. And this is oftentimes why you'll see guys try to copy like a Morning Dawn or a Margarita Mutilator, you know, when Robo Worm was nailing all that, when Aaron Martins was crazy critical, getting it dialed in for them. And Aaron was like, in your situation, how much of it is market research? When Aaron was pressuring them, I would say it was 90% Aaron's colors, 10% market research. I would say the majority of soft plastics out there, 75, 80% market research, angler input on the other end. Now, sometimes these companies will make custom colors, or Tackle Warehouse will do Tackle Warehouse exclusive colors.
Yeah.
And that's typically by angler request for those who are wondering when you see those exclusive colors. And if you see those actually can be really critical to the exact area of the country you live. So try to go into the comment section and be like, hey, who came up with this color? Why? Like,
we needed chartreuse because I'm in the north.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Now you get what I'm saying.
Well, it's interesting, and you could see that I see this. Well, Jeff and I see this a lot because we run into a lot of Canadian manufacturers, and their color palette is 100% different than what you see on the U.S.-based companies. They're totally different. Like, and that's why Great Lakes Finesse is really interesting because when I see their color palette, I'm like, I know where these guys are fishing. I can tell.
So let me bring up something very interesting to you guys. Go back 10 years. There was a color pattern that everybody had. All of you is at home right now. I bet you have a Fire Tiger crankbait in your box that you haven't touched in 10 years.
Bro, some people have a Fire Tiger kayak because Old Town made a Fire Tiger kayak.
They sure did.
But this is the reality. We used to think like for muddy water, we used to think Fire Tiger until the research came out that they can't see orange and reds far away. And in dirty water, how are you going to see something better far away if it's orange and red?
Yeah.
You know, and if this was all because of technology. Once we were able to prove it and people believe the tech, we're like, okay, light colors, solid colors, dark colors. Got it. Like most people, here, I'm gonna give you guys a super quick tip. Why does white work? Let me hear your guys' opinions. Let's hear it. Why is white such a good color?
Because it's natural.
It's something
that you would see naturally. That's what I'm going with. Well, silvery white, yeah.
Like it shows up in all depths through the light spectrum.
Now you're onto something there. So check this out. There's one color in the visual spectrum that reflects ultraviolet light. If you ever been on a white bottom boat and you get burnt under your shorts, yeah, fellas, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. 100%.
You get burnt like under here and stuff.
You're like, hold on. I thought
for those of you in the north, when you go snowboarding, you wear sunglasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
off the snow.
UVA radiation reflecting off of the color white. White is the only one that does that. Bass have an ability in their eye to detect silhouettes from UVA. So all the old fish sprays used to have like full of fish and stuff like that was basically making UVA reflective that you would put on your lure. So white actually looks like a perfect silhouette disco ball. Even in muddy water, they can find white because it doesn't look white. It looks shiny and it just looks like an outline the whole time. So like, for example, next time you guys go out and it's overcast, all right, throw an underspin and then throw a white lure and watch what happens. I just want this a little test, and you guys come back and mention it to me in the comments, like what happened later on when you did that, because you will notice nickel finishes can reflect, not in cloudy conditions, but you get bit better on them for some dang reason. Like cloudy days, why we use gold? Why the heck is that? You really thought about that? White is the only one that always looks shiny. Always.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're getting your butt
painted blades.
Yep. White painted blades. You got it.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Yep. Because it's blinking to them.
Yeah. It's a hot tip. We're going to hit the river this weekend. I'm going to test out white fluke fishing.
White fluke. Why does everyone throw white fluke? You know you got white flukes, those of you watching.
That's like all I have.
White flukes.
Yeah. It's like one of the first colors you grab off the shelf. You don't know why. Now you do.
There's only 3 color flukes that I ever throw: baby bass, white, and black.
Black, yeah.
So
the green what's the deal with green pumpkin? Because green pumpkin's the color they see the easiest.
Nope, it's the color that they have the most difficulty seeing. Believe it or not.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that color was like one that stood out the most to them.
Go to any lake that's grassy, and
Mm-hmm.
drop a green pumpkin bait down there, and stick your face under the water and go find it.
Sure, yeah.
Invisible. So why does that work so well?
Yeah.
Why?
That's my question.
Because everything is typically camouflaged in an aquatic environment. Everything mixes in. It's extreme subtle and hard to make out that it's not fake. But I'll tell you what, if you go out after post-frontal conditions and you throw something green pumpkin that's slow and subtle and you can't get bit, but then the dude on the square bill's kicking your ass and you're like, why in the heck? Because they're not hungry. Now they're just reacting to that guy's annoying square bill that entered the space, but you're asking them to come get something supernatural that they chowed down on the day before. Yeah.
Well, dude, if you fish for... Go ahead. What were you saying?
Just dying over here. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, it's fished 2 weekends in a row in Michigan, Paul. Right? Like the one weekend we went out and they'd only eat something supernatural that was weightless on a circle hook, and just sitting there. We were throwing neutral buoyancy baits, Great Lakes finesse and stuff, and just letting it sit on a circle hook, spinning rig only. That was all they would eat. And then like this weekend, they would only eat the color I never throw, but the the green pumpkin orange Z-Man chatterbait with a fire tiger tail. It's all
when was the full moon?
I don't.
This is gonna blow you guys' mind.
I'm ready.
Was it recent?
You want to know why they're eating it? Why they're eating that with the orange? Because crawdads are molting.
Yeah, and I catch them eating craws here all the time, and like I can throw a red craw. Like I had the what was the mega bass one? The sleeper craw. They were just in like Scuppernong. which is like an orange red, or not orange red. It's like a darker red, brown red, more like. And they were all over that. So that must have been near that too. See, we're aggressively average. We don't like look at the full moon. We probably should. I got a full moon chart from Kayak Adventure Series. I don't even look at it. That's probably be smarter.
Typically a week or two after the full moon that the crawdads typically come up on top of the rocks and are more active, trying to molt their shells. So they'll rub on the bottom to where you'll often hear me preach this. They're either looking up, looking forward, or looking down. And I have this general outline of the certain baits that I carry on my deck at all times. And every hot spot I'm checking up, forward, and down to see if I get bit on it. And I'll give you guys some extra tips to go along with this. But if you were out fishing the previous week and whatever you're using is all of a sudden not working, you should be dragging the bottom. Because if they stop coming up, if they stop chasing, typically it's some sort of crawfish or goby related thing.
Yeah,
it really is. Like, and you can look too when they spit out the stuff in your live well. You know, that's one of the single greatest clues ever. Box some smaller fish. Don't just release them real quick and look at what they spit out. Like, dude, you get so many clues.
That was that day. So like I had never used a sleeper craw. I got it in a JDM box that we did for an unboxing. It was sitting in my crate, and I caught a fish on a Texas rig, came up, yoked up some craw, and I was like, oh, I should probably throw a craw. I have one. And then I tied it on, and it was like nonstop right after that. And
back them up.
Yeah. And to your point too, of like, you know, drag the bottom if they're not eating what they were eating the week before. That's how I got back into Texas rigging. We used to make a joke. We're like, how often do you Texas rig, Paul? Like never, because we're used to catching on spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and body baits. And all of a sudden this week, I've used the Texas rig 50 times more than I ever have before. And it's so it's good to have that like other go-to. Be smarter about it. You know, Paul, we could be smarter about fishing, don't you think?
Yeah. You guys got a lot of smallmouth where you're fishing?
Yeah, we're gonna this weekend. We hit the river.
Okay. Take your same favorite Texas rig and do a free rig style and fish it identical. Don't let it fall on slack. You don't need to use the benefits of the free rig. Just fish it just like that. And then basically what you're gonna get, as long as you have the cylinder drop shot weight, you're going to get like the jig rig elevation off the bottom, which can get you that 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And believe it or not, it can make a world of difference.
Oh yeah, that's actually one when the free rig kind of was getting popular a few years ago. That's one of the first things I did was get both the teardrop and the cylinder style. I just started messing with both of them. And now I carry the full range of both because it ends up being for whatever reason, there is almost always a difference.
It saved my day.
It's way more slack is what it is. I think if it comes down to trying to penetrate the cover or trying to make direct bottom contact, if you're mimicking goby, craw, or if you have silt on the bottom, I think your Texas rig outfishes your free rig tremendously. I think if you're on a hard bottom, where, you know, bait fish may be low, there's still like bluegills down there. They're not necessarily feeding inverted to where the free rig tends to excel. It's really weird. And you'll see like a lot of guys just like even fishing around shad and stuff, like throwing a free rig. And it's just one of those players. But yeah. So anyhow, the tip I really, really wanted to give your viewers is I want to go back and give forward-facing sonar some credit. So I wish I could just walk my phone, but my signal sucks at my boat dock. So I'm going to give you guys this story, and this is how something you can apply to your fishing. And I do it all the time. My sponsor boat, I don't have forward-facing. My boat that I keep on my private lake has forward-facing. I have trained bluegills right at my dock that my kids throw bread to and catch and have fun and beat those poor things up all the time. The fish do not always see your lure the moment it enters the water. And I'll tell you why. There's about 40 or 50 bluegills sitting at my dock every day. I can throw a piece of bread in, and I'm like, where are they? And I throw a second piece of bread, and then everybody comes out of nowhere. And I threw it right on these things multiple times. Now, I can tell you with forward-facing sonar, I've gone to isolated tree branches and I flipped a wacky worm up there, and we'll just use a general wacky worm, to where the fish did not move. I picked it up, threw it again. Fish ran up and blasted it 6 inches under the surface and came up from 10 feet deep. They do not see it. And it's the same basis. If you ever see a fish up shallow, and I showed this one on TikTok that went crazy viral, where I showed this bass swimming up in the flat and showed where my shadow was and when I'm going to cast to this bass. Well, I threw it behind this bass so he could not see it intentionally until he turned around. Then I made the movement. And they feel it. They know something's there, and oftentimes triggers the fish to get fired up. So when you see an isolated piece of cover or structure or a bridge piling or something, you feel confident that there's fish on there, you were probably right. Almost every single piece of isolated structure and cover has a fish, even in pressured waters. That's a forward-facing truth teller right there. If you feel confident, or if you've caught them there before, do the top, do the forward, and do the down technique, okay? And do 2 to 3 casts with each of those before you move on. And honestly, it's the single greatest way to fish pressured water ever. Like if you fish a pond and you know some guy just ran over to the juice and you're like, ah, shoot, he just hit the juice. Use that technique. On up, forward, or down. And do 2 to 3 casts with each one of those, because they may not be looking there, or they may recycle the spot. Different fish move up, different fish move down. So
that's so true. I've had that happen with, we have a place on Lake St. Clair, and it's got a seawall. I know where all the rocks are because that's where all the fish are.
Sure.
And there's one corner where if you were going to catch a trophy smallmouth and you only had one cast, this is where you would cast. And I'll tell you what happens a lot of times is big fish versus little fish. The mentality is like totally different. And I've done it where I've had a big bait and I'll cast it in there and I'll catch a small fish. I'll cast it again. I'll catch a small fish. And I'm like, I could call you over and be like, watch this time. And I'll cast again. Monster. Like I just did it. I had this exact same situation this weekend and I caught a over 4-pound smallmouth. Third fish I pulled out from that exact spot. And I was like, I friggin' knew it, dude.
We do this to each other fishing though, too. So Paul and I will fish together. He'll hit a spot. I'm like, I want to hit that spot. And then when I roll up, I could catch a fish and vice versa. And it happens all the time. And you'll hear us in the video. We just go like, I just cast at that spot 10 times, bro. So rude.
Yep. Dude, that's
the ultimate salt.
That's how it goes. I've had the same thing punching water hyacinths on the California Delta primrose, to where my buddy right behind me throws the exact same toolie and stick a 5 or 6 pounder. And I'm like, dang it. And it was isolated. It's because it was 100 feet of primrose. And then there was one toolie stock sticking up in there. And that fish probably just rotated at the time. I went behind it, felt it, didn't get to it. And he's like, oh, dude, the next thing. Oh, there it is. You know? Yeah. And that is the reality. That is one thing I've learned from forward facing. And another thing, that fish recycle spots way faster than you would think. Like I used to give spots like a couple hours to reset. The longest time I've seen spots like reset, an hour. The shortest, 10 minutes. Dead serious. Like if you go down a bank and you catch them good, literally they hit it 30 minutes later, because there was a reason they were biting on there, and you can get brand new fish.
Yeah, that's happened on the river with Jeff and I. There's Jeff and the guy we usually fish with in the river when we wet wade, they're taller than I am, so they tromp through first, and I'm like struggling behind them like a little idiot. And my dog that doesn't want to leave. And I will tell you that a lot of times, even being the third angler, and I'm only 40 yards. There it is.
Oh,
only
puppers.
Like 40 yards behind. And sometimes I'll get the bigger fish, and it's not because I'm better or anything. But I know what they're throwing, and I'll just throw the opposite size. So if they're going micro, I'll go like a medium. If they're going like normal size, I'll go to the micro. And those fish are still there. A fish is still there. Yeah.
No, for sure. How often do you guys throw glide baits for your smallmouth out there?
Dude, it's something that we have
for smallies specifically. Never.
Oh,
so
not never, but yeah,
for
not
largies. Well, you
for
might,
sure.
because you're on St. Clair, but I definitely don't in the river. Because that's, I mean, majority of our smallmouth fishing is going to be in the river, but you can go to certain lakes, especially Lake St. Clair. And then
the glide bait game is just something that we both like. We've dedicated time to it, not nearly enough, and we say it every single year.
We waded in.
There's a YouTuber in Michigan. He has a really strong accent. I'm trying to think of his name.
I know exactly what it is.
Nice kid, like, oh yeah,
Dylan Grubb.
Yeah.
Extreme outdoorsman.
Extreme outdoorsman. Yes. So I was talking to him, and I finally got him to start throwing glide baits, and he's fell in love with them out there. Man.
Oh yeah, I've seen him hammering on them, man.
Yeah. So I was telling him forever, dude, you need to be throwing glides in that clear water. I'm telling you, they're the single great. If you're gonna ban forward-facing sonar in clean water, you should ban a glide bait. Dude. Here's the thing. I am, honest to God, shocked at how many people fish clear water that have never thrown a glide bait. Dude, I do seminars all over this friggin' country.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, our fish over here don't eat stuff that big. And I go, dude, I've caught 1-pounders on 9-inch glide baits. But I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of followers. Dude, you can go next to boat docks and throw a glide bait, and the fish that's under there will come out all like, oh, whoa. And then you're like, well, there's 3 under there. There's 1 under that back corner. I'm going to come back in 20 minutes, flip a worm up there, throw a jerk bait right there. Yeah. And dude, I have literally used glide baits with more success for finding fish than forward-facing sonar. That's serious. Wow. That's serious. Even boot tail swim baits and stay in water. I look even with my 2D on the front, I'll slow roll a swim bait and let it fall under the trolling motor, and I'll watch them follow. And I'm like, oh, they're right here. Dude, it's the original forward-facing sonar.
It's a portable fish finder. I mean, let's be real.
It is. It's the cheapest. Dude, you can get a 185 shine glide. It's like a 7.5-inch bait, or 7.25 millimeters. Sorry. Let me get a Asian millimeter measurements for you guys.
Exactly.
And for like $15.
Yeah.
That's a little cheaper than forward-facing sonar, guys. And it works.
Smidge.
Really good.
A couple pesos.
You need 1,000 of those to be just the head unit.
There you go.
We put time into them. I have just not had the payoff, and it's killing me. Like I've always
getting follows.
Yes. We'll get follows, and it's definitely a lot to do with obviously us and how we're fishing it. I think that we fish them maybe almost too passively or too tentatively, and we're not aggressive with them at all.
I want you to keep in mind that you're using it to find fish, not necessarily catch fish, and then your progression into catching fish will grow.
That's a good call, and that would definitely change the mindset of bringing the swim bait back and actually using it, because I feel like they're always there, but I don't use them.
So I'll explain. I catch tons of big swim bait fish every year. I have tons of days where I've never got one bite on these big swim baits. Tons of days. I guarantee you I've had way more days not catching them on swim baits than you guys. Guaranteed.
Fair enough.
But I love swim baits.
Yeah.
So consider that.
We will. I mean, first of all, they're really cool lures. Like, it's just cool. Even just collecting them is fun.
Yes.
Don't get into it. I know it's so dangerous. We know too many people, specifically one kid who was on our show like last week, who has so many of these. But he sent us some that we would have never used. We used one of his, what was that, Paul? $250? That one that we tried? Yeah. I was like, dude, I'm not fishing a lure for $250. This is the cost of my reel. What are we doing? But yeah, they're really cool for one. For two, they are actually a lot of fun to fish. It's just like such a different way than you're used to. So I do really like it. We bet we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
I'll tell you what. I have prototype swim baits that are a couple $1,000 a piece. I've got some of the rarest stuff. I've got custom signed Roman maids, like from the past. I got a lot of rare stuff.
Yeah.
I hardly ever throw them. Like you said, they've become collectibles. Yes, I've caught fish on them.
Yep.
The majority of the glide baits I throw now, the 185 Shine Glide, Savage Gear, it's like $14 or $15. I've caught 4 double digits on that bait alone. I've got few thousand over 5 pounds on those. And I fish a glide bait pretty much more than anyone I know. You know, there's always, if you look in any video, you can glance down and see a 185 Shine Glide tied on my deck. I do a couple custom modifications with some BKK hooks, and I tie the trebles on. Yes, I do drill some baits out and modify them and stuff with underspins and modify the weight. I get crazy like that sometimes, but the 185 Shine Glide straight out of the box is a fish killer. It helicopters a little bit when you throw it sometimes because it's an affordable glide bait, but you can take risk. You can throw it where you don't want to throw a $200 glide bait up against a chunk of concrete.
I don't even want to throw it at all.
Back in the bag.
I want to throw it a little bit even.
It doesn't even get in the boat. It stays in the office.
I watched a guy one time. We were at a media day event with a bunch of different pros. Guy had a brand new Roman Main mother he just bought for $550. First cast backlash, snapped it off, sent that thing about 200 foot out there. And we were flying on the trolling motor to find it. It was end of March. I think the water was 62 degrees. And it was in 24 feet. And he swam around for an hour down there and found it. He kept going up, kept going down, kept going up, kept going down.
I mean, he's dead now, hypothermic, but
dude, he would get out, dry off, get back in. Like, dude, it was brutal. And I'm like just standing there the whole time, like, why in the hell, dude?
Your hospital bill is going to be a lot more.
Yeah. Yes. But dude, it was all bad. Dude was fine, but like that's what it comes down to. If you can't just say, whatever, you shouldn't be fishing it. Don't fish it. Don't fish it.
Go golfing. God dang.
Yeah.
Just lose the balls. How?
Just lose it.
All right. I do have one last question before we get into the fun tail end of the show here. Of all the baits that you've gotten your chance to design, what was your favorite one to work on?
Favorite one to work on, aside from the BSE, is going to be the Tough Toad, the Savage Gear Tough Toad. That's that soft plastic toad.
Yep.
It's made out of TPE, so it's dang near indestructible. I got that thing so fishy. We got a custom modified hook that comes with it. Comes with 3 hooks because people were begging, dude, what hooks do I buy? I said, no, I got them to package 3 hooks with it. The Tough Toad, dude, I will tell you what, I think it came out a little over 3 years ago. It was originally called the Duratech Toad. So if you go on Tackle Warehouse, you'll see Duratech Toad and Tough Toad. Tough Toad is the revised version. It's the version 2, the one that comes with 3 hooks. I have no reason to fish a hollow body in the last 3.5 years of my bass fishing. And you guys may think, what? What is that? I skip every single day. I live on a private lake. I make a lap every single day. I have the California Delta in my front yard. I go out there a minimal 3 days a week. One of the greatest frog fisheries ever. This is where Bobby Barrett cut his teeth. He moved back to Texas, but Bobby Barrett became the most famous frog fisherman right here. Not a single hollow body ever made can even sniff the ass crack of a Savage Gear Tough Toad. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. And I will tell you why. The hookup ratio is 100 times better than a hollow body. And if you guys want to talk about, oh, your hookup ratio is good on a hollow body, look, I will tell you what. I went through over 90 frogs per season. 90 hollow body frogs per season. That's what I threw on average on the California Delta, fishing 280 days a year.
Yeah.
So if you want to say like it doesn't matter, you don't even need to try another frog, another toad. Wrong, dude. I will tell you till I'm blue in the face. Every dime I've ever made in my life, I will bet against your statement being wrong. The hookup ratio, it's a single hook. Okay. They don't drop it. They think it's real. And I've got embarrassing footage where I had a vicious backlash. Not paying attention because I'm cussing or I'm pissed.
Can't That's all my footage. What are you talking about? Embarrassing.
Braid coating, just backlash for no freaking reason. I'm one of the best skippers in the world, and I still backlash. Okay, it happens to everybody. And this thing eats it. 4-pounder eats it off of the distance. I don't even hear it, dude. Embarrassing. I finally get the backlash out, and I'm reeling it in. It's like 2 minutes and 20 some odd seconds. I'll send it to you guys. And then I'm like, dude, my line's behind the boat. And I set it. I almost got her way back in the gullet, dude. It was it was deep. And then I told my buddy, I said, dear God, dude, this thing was going to eat it. It was literally going to eat it. And then we started playing the Senko game. Let's see how long we can get him to hang on to it. We did this for the next 14 fish. That's how many more bites we got the rest of the day. We have 14 eats. Not a single one of them would drop it. We can let them swim it on a free spool, just forever. So what's your hook set timing on a tough toad? Whenever.
The window's wide.
Go ahead and finish your phone call. Like, it's the same thing as the Senko, man.
Have a snack.
Have a snack. Take a break.
You can reel it and catch them. The thing skips a freaking mile, dude. It's just like it's part of the two baits that I always have on. So you say, why would you fish a BSE versus a tough toad? Tough toad, I fish over mats. I'm covering water. And we have a new walking version coming out with the skirts, just like a hollow body, which is going to murk them. The only reason for that, let's say you have an isolated piece of timber, you want to walk it in place. Tough toad right now is a kicking frog, but it floats and sits there. Dude, I average over 30 fish per toad. It comes 3 toads in a bag, and it's like $8. So, dude, it's 90 fish per $8 bag. And sometimes you can get more than that. What hollow body is even remarkably that close? Like nothing.
No.
Okay. So the tough toad, and I can show you freaking days and days and days and days of footage just cracking largemouth. Just go TikTok, Instagram, you'll see me. And it blows my mind. I turned on a couple MLF pros and they go, stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. I'm like, my job
is the juice.
My job's to sell stuff. I taught Tayao how to skip with the tough toad. And that one, have you seen the one where I'm curving it around the docks? And when I snag the dock, I throw the rod. Yeah, that's the tough toad. Like, people don't realize, like, you can do insane skips with this thing. It just keeps going. It's just like the BSE. So I have the BSE on because it falls and sinks when they don't want to crack the surface. I could skip the BSE under a dock or into a shade pocket, and it's going to work all the way down. Where the tough toad, if I have a lot of grass and stuff, I'm going to bomb that and work it over the top. Yeah. You know, sometimes they don't want to eat subsurface. Sometimes they don't want to eat top water. So the tough toad is my top water answer for the frog. No reason to even have a hollow body. Dude, I'll send you a picture of my hollow body collection. I should honestly sell it. I think I got 1,500 to 2,000 brand new hollow bodies still out there that I planned on throwing. I'm never going to touch them again. If as long as they make the tough toad, I will never touch another hollow body again. I actually enjoy catching fish. Yeah, like I don't want to watch on a good day on a hollow body. Dude, I think my best days on hollow bodies like 80%, maybe 75%. Yeah. But still critical bites you miss with hollow body frogs. Yeah, and man, it's freaking torture. Nothing worse, dude. Nothing worse. When you
come rocketing back at you when you see the biggest sip of your life,
dude. When a 6 or 7 pound and hollow bodies, and here's the worst part is like you will see them eat the damn thing, and you know for certain they have it, and you swing for the fence, and it's like,
full miss.
I had a whole day that was characterized just by that.
By missing frogs.
Dude, the most heartbreaking ones ever are topwater or frog missed hookups. Yeah. And dude, like it's changed my game, dude. It's changed I can't even tell you. So last year on the Delta was a tough year. Like a lot of tournaments were being won with 15, 16 pounds. I was still going out with the tough toad, dude, and averaging 18 to 24 every day on a freaking toad when other people had to catch them on chatterbaits and stuff. Yeah. Dude, like, yes, granted, it's still fun, but if you can catch them on freaking topwater and win, dude, it's a frog. Like, of course you want to be throwing that.
All I can think of is the cream. It's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same
thing. It's the same. That's all I can think of. That's
dude,
priceless.
So, yeah, there's 3 baits you'll always see tied on. Savage Gear Shine Glide in a ghost bone. Okay, the shine bone color. It's like a chrome and bone. The big bite baits BSE now. I never thought it was going to reach that level of permanently staying on my deck, but 100% will. I just rely on. I love shallow water fishing. It's not a deep water lure. You can put a nail in it and fish it down like 10, 15 feet if you want to, but it's not a deep water lure. Yeah. Savage Gear Tough Toad is another one of those. Of course, a Yamamoto Senko. Of course. You have to carry insurance unless you're an idiot. Drop shot with a 6-inch straight tail, margarita mutilator, robo worm. Of course, you have to have it, dude. And those are steeples right there, and then a 1/2 ounce buckeye ball and out jig. Yeah, just a fish like standing timber that's deeper, stuff like that, and with a 3.5 Yamamoto flap and hog trailer. The
flapping hog
gets split.
Single greatest creature bait ever.
Yeah.
So I said this way before I worked for Yamamoto. You guys, way before. The single greatest flipping bait ever is a flapping hog. Say whatever the hell you want. If we're on the same boat together, I will spank your ass with a flapping hog. And dude, let's do it. If you
want to hear a flapping hog story?
Yeah.
Our experience with flapping hogs when we burned 100 of them on smallmouth.
We did, yeah.
We went through so many of our guides flapping hogs.
That was the
absurd.
Killer. So we were
yes.
Sorry, bro. Hey, we paid a tip. You know.
So we were
flapping hogs.
Yeah, we were
St. Lawrence
right on the border,
monster bass.
St. Lawrence, upstate New York.
Yeah.
And it's cold. It was like October. It was cold. We get out
100
there.
100-mile-an-hour winds.
Everybody else was fishing.
Horrible.
Ned rig.
Yeah.
It was Ned rig. That was pretty much what everyone was running.
You started on a shaky head. Everybody was throwing Neds.
I
like
did
the
get
other
a nice
guide boats were like just
monster on a shaky, but everyone else throwing the Ned rigs, right?
Yep.
And interested the pockets and whatever.
Yep.
And our guide, he only had like 2 rods.
No.
He only had 2 rods. And one was for very big Carolina rigs, and one was for smaller Carolina rigs. And he had like 1.5 ounce and 1 ounce, and like that was
all
it.
he had.
And we were like, "What the fart?" And so he pulls one out, does a little trick to get it all loose, and he's got a flapping hog on the end, and he's just like he bombed. It was comical, like how far he had it out there, and then he did nothing. He just sat there, and he was just like, "I'll wait."
Every once in a while, you just do this.
Yeah, and every once in a while, he would just turn,
drag it,
and he's got a freaking tank on the line, and we're like, "Well, I don't know any better. I'll rig it up." So I figure one out with the tackle I got. I pick the flapping hog, I throw it on there, and all of a sudden, I'm just leaning to the side on a bunch of freaking giants. And everyone at the end of the day was like, "Oh yeah, Ned rig or a finesse jig or drop shot." And then
Carolina
rig. What were you guys? You were like 2 ounce Carolina rig.
But multiple times we caught them on a Carolina around another person's boat because
I cast it over someone's boat, and I had one over him, and I was like, "You got to get out of the way.
You guys are gonna need to move." Or like they would roll up, they'd roll up to talk to us, and we've been fishing this Carolina rig in the water for 5 minutes. It's still out there.
Yeah.
They'd pull up, and we'd be like, "Hey, can you like move?" And then, like, reel in a fish. So we learned a Carolina rig that day, and it was all flapping hogs. There were so many empty Yamamoto bags on the deck. It was ridiculous.
I cannot tell you why. What it is with the flapping hog. I fish sweet beavers, D-bombs. Like, dude, I fish everything. Yeah. Living on the Delta is a flipping mecca. Okay. D-bomb's great bait. There's a ton of great baits. Big Bite Yo Mama, a great bait. And sometimes I fish it just for kickers. But the flapping hog, dude, I don't know. Don't know why. Can't tell you why. I am super analytical person, but damn, oh damn.
Yeah.
That freaking bait, dude. I wouldn't even care if they doubled the price. It would piss me off. But like,
let it roll.
I would have to pay for it. I would have to pay for it. Yeah. Anywhere you can flip into cover, you'd be so dumb to not have flapping hogs. There's like your generic Senkos that you fish during fun time, and then there's a tournament, or you really want to show off to your buddies. You pull out your actual bag of Senkos, not your Bass Pro Shops knockoffs. Yep. You're like, I'm gonna get a few extra bites, and you just know it. You just know it works.
It's funny because we were just saying that's the 3rd time we've said that about a Yamamoto bait. We said it about the Yamatanuki. We said it about the worms. The OG Senko, and then
Senko,
3rd thing on the flapping hog, because it is true. There's just there are some baits, and oddly enough, we talked about 3 of them right from Yamamoto that they're just better.
When Ken designed the original Zoom trick worm, probably the #1 worm of all time. Okay. Yamamoto Senko right there with it.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 greatest worms. And then third is straight tail. The straight tail MM3, man. Robo worm. Those are the 3 greatest worms of all time, hands down.
Zoom trick worm is how I learned how to fish.
Same.
Dude, I feel naked if I don't have pumpkin, black flake, super salt, 6-inch Zoom trick worms in my boat. Not saying I'm going to use them. Not saying I'm going to use them. But damn, it's like not carrying a safety cushion in your boat.
Yeah. It's like leaving your pocket knife at home. You're not going to feel comfortable at all.
When you walk
feel very weird.
What do? You go phone, wallet, keys. You go phone, wallet, trick worm, keys. Got it. They're out the door. We can roll. We can roll.
There's just like there's a list of baits, man, and it's like some companies I work for them, man. You know, but I didn't. Like I didn't work for them. Just like a freaking chatterbait. Yeah, I use a slobber knocker now from Berkeley, but dude, the jackhammer chatterbait, of course, you have to have that. Like you're just dumb if you don't have it. That's part of my arsenal. I always have a 1/2 ounce tied on. I always have the glide. I always have the tough toad. I always have the BSC. I always have the wacky Senko. And I will have a trick worm ready if it's like spring or fall. Because when they're ultra shallow, just because it hovers at the surface and shallow water fish. Yeah, you cannot beat a finesse trick worm, like a number 2 mosquito hook on some 6-pound fluorocarbon leader with some 20-pound braid on a fairy wand. If those fish are shallow, or if it's early morning or late evening, if you know there's fish there, they will eat that. If they're not allowed to not eat that.
That's against the rules.
It's against the law.
It's against the rules. They've even read the book.
Dude, it's the only chapter they actually picked up.
I had a buddy that's known for fishing these Wednesday nighters on the Delta. And these are like studs. Ishman, Rose, Keith Reese, all the dudes, Bub Tosh, all these dudes fish this. I used to fish them all. The funny part is, last year he won 2 years ago, he won 3 in a row on a damn trick worm and a spinning rod on the California Delta. And I was like sweating him. I'm like, hey, how are you winning? I don't want to tell you. How are you winning? I don't want to tell you.
Give me a
You're
hint.
going to say something. Because he keeps it in his rod locker, and when he comes back to weigh-ins, all of his flipping sticks are on the deck. Bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
He said all of my fish, dude. All of them were trick worm at sundown.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Playing chess, we're playing checkers. I love
I'm
it.
like, good job, sweetheart.
You did it.
Well, I would encourage you not to watch any of my videos for the next 2 weeks because you're probably only going to see the baits you've been mentioning
and also what you
since then. So I would not do that.
I don't judge anyone for the way they fish, honestly.
Well, good. We can get along then.
Then you know what? You've just solidified it. We can still be friends. All right. So we have the last part of our show. We call it the slow rolling thunder. We just have a couple of fun questions. We'll all get a chance to answer. We're just gonna have some fun with it. So,
and chat, you got to play too. So, chat, I want to hear your answers.
Yeah, chat is also involved. All right, so I had it written down. I'll have to ask you before we do this. Have you ever watched The Office?
A couple episodes, yeah.
All right. What about Parks and Rec?
Just got sent videos from it.
What about
I'm
Seinfeld?
usually fishing so much. Seinfeld, yes, I've watched them all.
All right. If you're familiar with Seinfeld, what is your favorite character from the show Seinfeld and why?
Cosmo.
It's a no-brainer, right?
Yes. Because that's literally how I come into everybody's home.
I like George. I'm not gonna lie. George has a special place in my heart. I feel like he actually makes the show. It's like one of those secret things where the show's actually about him, even though you don't realize it and you think Jerry's the main character.
A lot of the times it revolves around George.
Yeah, he's always
when it's other people's problem. George makes.
I was in the pool. Like, come on, man. The rye, like, it's core. He is core to that show, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah, I agree, man. Like every character role in there, though, is so detrimental to the show.
That show has like no reason being good, but it does hold up. It'll pop up every once in a while, and I'll like start watching and like, why does
the car BO episode? I think maybe my favorite.
Really?
Or the jacket.
I like the I thought the most creative episode was where they do the whole thing in the Chinese restaurant and it's just them waiting in line. I thought that was one of the most creative like someone thinking that up and them actually deciding to make it is insane to me. I thought that was hilarious. And then the car trip one where he's eating the donut with the fork and knife.
Yes.
And they're like eating a Snickers bar with the fork like that. Why is that? Dude, that, it reminds me of like when you get on social media a lot and you post like very regularly, like we kind of have to keep things going. You kind of get a little like insane and you start posting something like, why did I post that? Like what? Like that's what that feels like. Someone who's been doing social media for a decade every day for forever. And they're like, I don't care. I'm just doing whatever I want. And like, but it's working.
That's been me for a long time now.
Right? Yeah, right.
That's like the trending way to do TikTok right now, though. Like you just do something normal, weird, and then everybody flips out in the comments and they're like, what am I watching? And that's what gets you the most engagement.
It's like if you put one sock on and instead of going to the next sock, you put a shoe on, you're a psychopath. And I'm gonna notice that instantly.
Bro, you fully dress one side of your body versus like sock, pant leg, shirt sleeve, and then the other side sock, pant leg, shirt
exactly.
sleeve.
Jeff, do you have a favorite character?
No, because I never like that. What is that like? It's the multi-camera like sitcom type comedy, right? Like that's the category. I never really got into it. Like I've watched like Nick, you're talking about the Parks and Rec. Like you're like, I've only been sent clips, and I feel the same way. My wife watched it, probably all of it. I've seen a million TikToks of short parts of it. So like I, from a surface level, know about these shows, but I never really got into.
You know they exist.
I know they exist, and I've seen many clips. And if you showed me a clip, I'd be like, "Oh, that one, I've seen that," but like I can't recall them. So,
so speaking of social media, what is the either funniest or most annoying thing that you have to do in order to be successful that you can't get away from in social media? I'll give you an example. I have to type things out like, leave a comment down below. What else did I write? Oh, smash the notification bell. Ring the notification bell. All that crap.
You haven't been reading my stories then. I bashed the smash the like button people.
Dude, oh, good.
Fuck. When I hear smash the like button, I almost shut YouTube off. It just drives me bonkers, man.
100%.
Especially at the front of the video. So like we were definitely guilty of like front of the video before you even say anything. Make sure you guys subscribe, smash that like. But that was for us, our early YouTube journey.
When you were trying to build something, do it. I get it.
Exactly. It. Yeah.
But now I hate it. And every time I say it, I'm like,
dude, what I've actually said more, if you go to the end of a lot of my videos, hey, if you don't like this video, if you didn't like this video, remember to leave a thumbs down. That's what I say.
Thumbs down my video, leave a mean comment, call me stupid, please.
If you hated it, make sure you let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Drop it below in the comments. Remember to smash that thumbs down button. It helps grow the channel, guys.
Dude, that's help grow the channel and leave a horrible comment. That's what I'm saying.
That reminds me of was it Bass and Brews, Paul, that did the give us a bad review on podcasts?
No,
right? You remember that? We were talking,
yeah.
They were on Bass and Brews, and they were like in their show during the show. They didn't tell us about this. They were like, "Oh, give us a bad review," and then they read a few of these bad reviews, and they were brutal and brutally on purpose. And they read it during the show, and I just started cracking up. I was like, "You guys are doing what now? Like, we should do that." I love that idea.
That's amazing.
Because like podcast reviews are the literal worst. I think we have one that's a 1-star that just says annoying, and I'm like, okay, thanks for the constructive feedback.
Appreciate
my buddies on my Instagram are always talking trash every time.
Oh yeah, 100%. What? Okay, so last one here. Favorite non-bass species to catch, to fish for. I'll say to fish for, not to catch, to fish for,
or both.
Stripers.
I thought you were going to say stripers based on the topics. It was like, dude.
hard to argue against stripers though, because
I feel like if we fished them, we'd say that was
just like bass. Get up to 30 pounds.
Yeah, man. We don't have like the giant like New York ones over here.
Yeah, like Jersey.
You know, but my best was a 43 pounder, and we do have them in the rivers that get giant. I got two buddies that both have. One's got a 51 and one's got a 52. And
Jesus,
dude, I'll fish schoolies, you know, that range from 3 pounds to 8 pounds. And you can fish them differently. Like the big trophy stripers, you fish them entirely different than the way you fish the schoolies. I utilize the schoolies to catch trophy largemouth. It's something I call the striper trick. It's a whole pattern based around juvenile striped bass that fire up the largemouth to eating them. So it's a technique. I specifically go around looking for juvenile striped bass to throw glide baits around because the largies actually start feeding on the juvenile stripers when they're chasing bait. Okay. So they're extremely dynamic. They move a ton, crazy nomadic.
Yeah.
And it's always cold. It's always late fall, early winter for me when we're catching those. And I just love that time of year. I'm a hallmarky son of a, I'm a put the hot cocoa in the boat type of guy with some brownies and shit,
Same.
Yeah. I'll be stashing peanut butter cookies when my wife's not looking just to take them.
I do it when she is looking.
I do it to her face.
You're that
Look at this. Mine.
They like to watch. Oh, you like to watch, eh?
Turn around.
I'll have another one.
Oh man. All right, Jeff, what about you?
Well, it's specific to our experience, right? That's what makes it.
No, 100%.
I
That's what makes it different. Yeah.
I wish I will fish for more species to get more experience, because I definitely want to do that. Like one, for example, I want that we could easily do is peacock. Like I want to go fish for peacock bass down in Florida because now they're there. But I guess for me, most fun to fish for pike. I love smallmouth. It's so close between pike and smallmouth, and like largies is kind of way down here because they're fun, but like there's way more fun.
I put black bass into one category, spotted bass.
Same.
Yeah. That's fair. That's 100%. But pike, dude, like when you're targeting them specifically, when we go out to this lake by me and we throw the 7-inch and the 9-inch swim baits that we never ever use, and we're throwing that big mag draft or something, and you slam a pike, there's nothing.
Awesome.
There's nothing like it.
We don't have those. We don't have pike.
Yeah.
And when I went back in your guys' area, I went to Wisconsin to shoot the Rocket Bobber commercial a couple of years ago. And it was all based around crappie and panfish. And I asked the guy there, because it was on Deer Lake in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I said, dude, there's pike here, right? Oh, yeah, big pikes. But they're out in the middle of the lake this time of year. And I'm like, dude, just tell me how I can catch one.
Can we go there?
Did he just say spinnerbait?
I go, I'm going to try to use one of these Bill Lewis lures, okay? It was a deep diving crankbait. Well, not super deep, mid diving, MR6.
Yeah.
And he goes, just throw it around out here in the middle. And all he had was a spinning rod for me. I don't even know what line was on there, dude. And I caught a 39-inch northern.
Ooh.
What?
That was my first pike.
No, boo!
I got the
ruined,
video.
bro.
I'll send it to you guys.
You're
I'm tripping
ruined.
balls, dude. And the guy goes, that's a mudfish. That's a mudfish that I was with. And then I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure it's a pike because I'm looking down like, And he goes, oh, that's a huge pike. That's a huge pike. He's like, this is like what tied for the biggest one I've ever seen here, dude. I catch it on a spinning rod with a deep diving crankbait.
What the frick?
On purpose. On purpose, dude.
Yeah.
I had like 4 hours before my flight, before we had to leave, man.
That's so unreal. I'm like, catching a 40-inch pike is like,
it's absurd.
I've only caught one ever.
No way, dude. That's crazy.
No, a 40-inch? Yeah.
Is it uncommon in Michigan for that size?
No,
not uncommon. Just that's where we fish.
Like, is there more big ones? Because I don't really know. Is there more?
Big ones? There are big ones.
There are definitely big ones.
But yeah,
catching a 40-incher is like you're framing that like that's not a small fish. That's
I felt like it was special, but I got all these buddies from Denmark, from Sweden, and stuff.
That's different. That would be like someone from Florida telling someone from Michigan. 5-pounder. What the hell?
Got it.
Yeah, that's what that is. Okay. And like if you go to northern Canada, then like the colder water, where the water just gets a lot colder and they don't get the pressure, they're easy to catch. They're really big, and they are the apex predator.
You hear that, Canadians? That's right. Paul says you suck.
Weird about how you said that.
No.
We
love Canada.
What you guys do is too easy.
If you're going to northern Ontario, then it really is. And they'll admit it too, because they know the walleye don't know any better. But catching big pike is super fun. I was trolling for walleye and caught a really big muskie in my kayak and went for an absolute ride, and that's one of my probably favorite catches of all time. I would say though, the last couple of years have changed everything. Chasing like giant bluegill is one of like, I get off on it. It's like one of my favorite things. And catching one that's like a true monster that has like 2 foreheads, then I'm through
yeah,
the
shell crackers are awesome. The cousin of the bluegill.
Yeah.
The one with the orange flake behind there. Those are fun fish. I'm going to tell you guys one last little quick story. I can't say his name, but he has won a Bassmaster Classic, and he told me this story, and he said, don't say my name. You can use the story, just don't say my name. He was fishing in one of those northern states for one of the MLF events, pre-fishing, and he hates pike, and he kills them. Okay. I don't know why. Just kills them when he catches them.
Revenge for all the hollow body frogs they popped.
Yeah, he didn't know the difference between a pike and a muskie. He killed 5 big muskie.
Oh no!
And they were floating. And some muskie guys came by and they landed one. And he was hollering out to them, "Kill it, kill it!"
And they were like, "We'll kill you."
Right? And they were like, "What? Tripping, right?" And they're like, and then he sees them taking pictures, and they start talking about a muskie. And then he realized, then he's like, "Oh shit!" So I get back and I look. I was killing muskie the whole time.
Oh my god!
I'm like, dude, why were you killing the fish anyways? I hate those things, dude. They bite off our baits and stuff all the time. I'm like,
should have had a trigger warning on this.
Oh my gosh, bro! What?
So I am not going to say his name, but I was told this story personally.
Statute of limitations got to be up.
He's lucky this time. We'll see.
I'm not saying your name, bro. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, you'd have people fired up around here. Around here, dude. People get fired up about it.
I've never fished for those, and I know better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You don't mess with
look.
the muskie.
I can understand how someone can make the mistake, especially if they're smaller. If they're smaller, they have the similar coloring.
Like for where I'm from, like I wouldn't know unless I specifically looked. You know,
you would. If I told you one or the other, you would know. You would know that the other one was not what you. So if I was like, "This is a muskie," well, I can do it. I'd be like, "That's a muskie, and that's a pike." But if I showed you one, if I handed you a pike and I was like, "This is a pike," 30 inches, and then you threw that away, and then the next time you caught a 30-inch muskie, you'd be like, "Oh, that's not the same thing. This one looks very odd." The coloring is so different, and they're like the body on a muskie, they can just girthy bellies, man, and the faces are just like wider, and you could just tell.
That's what I've noticed too. The
built different. They're just built different, and when we get skulls that wash up at our place in Canada all the time, like muskie skulls. I've seen them like this big, like they look like shark heads. They're so big.
Those on the wall. That's sick.
They're and I want to get a true giant one, like a 50-inch head, and I want to dry it in the sun and bleach it and then seal it because they are the coolest looking things.
Yeah,
they're so cool.
Dude,
and when you catch one,
when it's already dead, you're not gonna kill one to do that. You're saying
no. I want one to wash up on shore. I so bad.
Just go ask my buddy. I'll forward you.
I know a guy.
I got like 5 right now.
Who can help you out? Just saying.
Yeah. Dude, and the best part is we were with a European guy when he told this story. He fishes trophy pike all the time.
100%. Yeah.
Then he flies out to Canada all the time to target trophy muskies.
My God.
He was not happy.
Rolling in his grave that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. That was an interesting dinner.
I bet. Talk about
there I was sawing away a muskie.
Guy's wearing a muskie shirt. He's like, I love muskie. So these friggin' fish, man.
I will tell you one thing. You guys ever see Brandon Coulter at the ICAST or Bassmaster Classic?
Yeah.
Ask him, say, Nick mentioned to us a muskie story. Do you know who the guy is? Because he was there. He witnessed the story.
Oh my God. That's hilarious, dude.
That's my vouch.
All right. Well, on that wonderful, happy-go-lucky story for the muskie world, let's roll on out of here. The world's tiniest violin. So thank you to Nick, the Informative Fisherman, for hanging out with us tonight. You guys, make sure you go follow him, which I'm sure you already do because he's been here since it started.
I'm just an old guy on the internet.
I feel like if they follow us, they definitely follow you. So, I mean, I don't know. Informative Fisherman everywhere, all the platforms. Definitely check them out. Thank you so much for your time tonight, man. It's been a blast. Lots of fun stories. What's Pupper's name before we head out?
This is Bailey, man. This is my boat dog. Was supposed to be the house dog, became my boat dog. Yep.
Good boy.
I'm jealous of that. My dog would
10
not.
10 pounds of Chihuahua Jack Russell right there, man. It's mean green fighting machine.
Looks very aggressive, very dangerous. I got you. All right. So it keeps you safe on the water. Did he just bark?
Yeah, he's trying to kill someone out front or something.
Like I said, very aggressive. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a blast. And like I said, thanks to Informative Fisherman. We'll be back again next week. I don't think we have a guest next week, Paul, do we? Oh, what's next? I don't think so. What's next Wednesday?
Elon Musk. I think I checked your guys' calendar.
Oh, good. Yes. The 11th.
Very cool. I'm tuning in.
Because the 10th is because the 10th is our members only.
Yeah. So, anyways, next week we don't have a guest. Definitely not Elon. We're talking Cybertrucks all night, and then on the 18th we do have Tackle Talk is coming on the 18th. We booked that one a while ago. But again, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will catch you guys later. Chaz, take us out.